1.7.3.2594. So August 25th, 2019. It'll probably be posted pretty much the same day or on the exact same date. But I state it because you never know where this date is going to go. Now, nobody watches my videos. I finally have fiber optics, so I can live stream now. If anyone cares, and of course, I'm interested in pilot and space training experience. It's part of what I call tech rec, or technological recreation, which is kind of a gateway to edutainment, where you have incidental learning just by practice. You're also programming, moving both hands at the same time, mind motor skills, and I mean, everything is pretty easy to get good at. I remember when I couldn't ride a bike, and then one day my dad took the training wheels off, and next thing you know, they're telling me, you need to come home earlier. It wasn't long, and I wasn't that old. It's just like there's a fear factor, and somehow you just put your head down and bust through the fear, and all kinds of stupid cognitive behavior theories. Fear of success, fear of failure, bullshit. Fear of dying, fear of falling off high places, being crippled for life. Oh, did I say the S word? I'm sorry, if any kids are listening, you're not allowed to say this in school or in front of your parents, especially your mom. And if you do, you're on your own and you can get in trouble. Now, profanity is a creative process. And you'll notice if you watch me, sometimes it just comes out when I'm passionate. But it's not constant all the time. It's not a habit. It's more of a display of my extra passion. And I'm a little impulsive, so it's kind of popped out. I don't think we're going to give it a parental warning because I said the S word. I mean, after all, it is just poop. But if I would have said something really extreme or offensive, rather than just more descriptive of my emotions and excrement, like if I would have offended someone. The only one I'm going to offend here is people that don't believe in profanity, that don't believe it's a creative process, and don't believe that it should ever be expressed at all, ever, for any reason whatsoever. Like they somehow think you're weak or stupid, or there's something wrong with your mind if you do it. But, you know, what the F ever. Leave me alone. There's different ways of thinking, different perceptions. And profanity is a creative process, by the way. They tried to... Okay, so the Russians have a space program. Let's talk about this real quick, why I get to our game. Remember, we left Jebediah in orbit, and now we just got to come home and collect some money. It's like a whole mission. You made it to orbit. Just, you've got gas. Come on home. Collect some cash. Easiest mission there is. We were coming home anyway. So anyway, back to the Russians. When they had a language revision, the Soviet Union, Russia collapsed. The Soviet Union took over. It was like a big revolution, 7 counter-revolutions, a big effing mess. Anyway, someone decided that we're revising the language because now we have absolute power. It's a one political party communist country. They could do anything they wanted. It's really good for progress, really bad for human rights if you're not on their side. If you're on their side, you actually would get a privilege in certain ways. But anyway, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the language revision tried to eliminate profanity from the Russian language, and what all the smart people did, and primarily they were young people, bachelor students, graduate students, they were at the university, and to this day they tried to preserve profanity in the university by pulling out the desk drawers, turning them upside down, and writing their vulgarities on the wood. Permanent. And then turning them back over and putting the desk drawer in. So therefore, anybody that attended the University of Moscow, if you want to learn bad words, dirty words, profanity. I'm not sure how you want to describe this because there's a whole range, a whole variety of this creativity. Pull out the desk drawers at school, flip them over, and everyone, each drawer has its own thing. Now, to this day, if you can find these desks still there, the profanity will still be there. Of course, we don't need these desks anymore because all these desks have been transferred back to paper, and people got such a kick out of it, they wrote the dictionary of words and ideas that tried to be struck from our mind. The thing is it was ingrained in the culture, and it makes people laugh, and it is creative. So, good luck, oh powerful government, with the common man's true love, or maybe it's actually a need and not a want. I don't know. I think about these things. So, what we're going to do is go back to Jebediah. This is really quick. Okay, so I went to the observatory. I highlight him and hit fly. And what that's going to do is just take us right back to the vessel. And we will be there. Now, I did have a plan on flying around and collecting the EVA information. Let's just review and see what kind of EVA. Okay, so all we've done is brought the material data in from our Junior Science Collector Station. Pretty cool. Looks like we got rubber gloves and plastic bags, and I believe this is a modified interpretation of Science Junior, unless the game made this a permanent part with an artwork change. I don't know, because I have mods on this, and none that are going to affect the gameplay. If you run a stock game and you take these steps, I have not done one thing that a mod will help me. It's usually like beautification. I don't even like part mods, because then my thing gets clogged up. But and I tend to use the stock parts I'm accustomed to anyway. They say you dance with the one that brung you. So, I mean, the first time I got in space, I into orbit, I believe, I achieved it just the manner we did, and it was with the Terrier. This has been a number of years, by the way, about 5,000 hours ago. I remember just now clicking into 5,000 hours this year, sometime about a month or two before the 50th anniversary of Apollo. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is, because we cannot sit here for the full, what would it be, 28-minute rotation, which would be a full hour, I believe, to periapsis and back. I could be off on that time, but I know it's at least 26 minutes. Let's just see. Anyway, I feel bad. There it is. 31 minutes and 3 seconds is my period of rotation, and this will depend on how close or how far you are and how fast you're going. Of course, the speed is somewhat fixed by the gravity and the pull. If you increase in speed, the energy has to translate somewhere, and what it does is it kind of makes you more egg-shaped. Actually, it can do a variety of things, including kill you. So, but it depends where you're at in the spectrum. Okay, we're here for an EVA report, so let's do that, and then we can talk about that real quick. So I got my EVA report, and that is going to be over Kerbin's grasslands. So then I'll board, and I'm under the assumption that the first EVA report I got on the other mission, okay, we're over the highlands now. So this is what we're doing. We're collecting EVA reports. Oh, I wasn't fast enough. So that must have just been a little strip of highlands right on the edge of a grasslands, but it's alright. We have plenty of highlands coming up. So, like I was saying before I got distracted, we've already collected the EVA over the water. And the grasslands just now, the water, we've already, okay, highlands. Got it. Alright, so we have already got water. That was the previous mission. When we just went into space but did not achieve orbit, we went ahead and grabbed the space EVA report. So we're going to have highlands, grasslands, and waters already done. What's left is going to be mountains, deserts, and shores. I don't know if I'm forgetting something, because there are other biomes. There's the Badlands, but I don't have any in a equatorial orbit. I need to be in a different orbit, like more north to south, to get Badlands. And then of course we have the South Pole and the North Pole, which are ice caps and ice shelves. So if I go north to south and spin around the planet, sometimes I slip and call it Earth. So I try to call it Kerbin. If I call it the Earth, I apologize. I mean Kerbin. Anyway, if we're in an equatorial orbit, well, what was that? I just saw something blip and click. I can't tell because it's dark down there. So, anyway, I don't have any Badlands. I don't have any ice caps. On the ice caps, they have shelves and caps. So that's like 4 or 5 biomes that we can't get in this orbit, and we're not even going to try. But we would like to get the others so we can keep pushing that science forward at a maximum pace and not leave any behind for a later date, because it's just more money. So the whole idea of these videos is to maximize efficiency. Right now I'm going to go into a little bit of a time warp. Whoop. I just flew over one so fast and time warp it flipped. Anyway, I'm going to try to fly to sunlight so I can actually see what's happening. Alright, slowing down. This will be one where I'll be able to check the shores. So it did look like a shore, because that was a shore right below us. Well, there it is, shores. EVA report. EVA. Okay, got it. Board. Alright, so that was the one I was forgetting, was shores, and now we're going to go from mountains and deserts. So I can go full speed. I know I don't need water. My English is really bad for some of you, probably if you're British. It's kind of an American Midwest TV dialect, and then it's also mixed in with my local flavor, which is I don't even know how to describe it. Rural. We're primarily an agricultural, and we're agriculture and military is what we are. So we have aviation, and we grow food. So my Minuteman missile silos, astronauts come from here. We have space museums. So what is this? Agriculture and military. Does it make sense? Anyway, we have Fort Riley, which is the big red one. We also have Wichita, Kansas, which is the home to Boeing, Air Force, and is it McDonnell Douglas? Some military. Don't hold me to the McDonnell Douglas. I know we have a military, Boeing military, as well as another military, which may be owned by Boeing or not. I get so confused. When you talk about military aircraft, you see them fly over. We really have no access to them. And if you're not in military, all you can do is watch YouTube videos and be an enthusiast. They're secret. I mean, I would hope. I know the older ones, we can have access to some things. And I like World War II aircraft. So, anyway. But it's really cool. I don't know, a lot of people don't know this, but if you see a university that has a designation A&M, Texas A&M is the first one I can think of. That would be Texas Agriculture and Military. We used to have a college, we called it Silo Tech, or Kansas Technological Institute, and we changed that name to K-State, so it's called Kansas State now. It's got the purple Wildcat, and our football team's pretty good. Our basketball team's mediocre. But okay, it looks like I'm over grass. I'm going to fly over some highlands, and then I'm going to transition into desert. And here comes the moon. Notice I said moon and not moon, because Kerbal has a moon and a minmus. So Kerbal has two planetary bodies. One's the moon, and the other one's the minmus. Minmus. I don't even know how to pronounce these things. What are you supposed to do when people just make stuff up? So, Mun and Minmus. Pretty much how all of us say it. So, alright, Kerbal Deserts. So we're going to do our EVA again, take our report. Report. Now I'm going to fast forward again. I believe the only thing I need now is Kerbal Mountains. And if by some chance I already got mountains, then I don't need them. I just don't know. There is a way I can look it up because I do have a mod that shows me, but I don't want to take the time. What I'm going to do basically is maybe skip the mountains and save it for a later one. Later mission, because this is not the last time you fly over Kerbal Mountains, but lo and behold, this is our Kerbal continent. They say it looks like Africa. I'm not so sure. I'd have to cut this top off and throw a big ocean in up here. Yeah, I can see Africa, and if that's Spain, I can see oversized. And if this is Asia, it looks like it's twisted and pulled. This is more like, oh yeah, if you're young and you don't know what it is, look up Pangea. This is more like a Pangea, but a bad one, because these people that make games don't always study the science. They just slap stuff together. Anyway, but that's a real thing, Pangea. It's about plate tectonics, and it's all about geography and planetary evolution and geology, and man, it's some really good scientific stuff, and it fits. Now, I think I got excited and missed my mountain reading. Did I? I think I did. But you can check. So you just come down here and you review your data. And we got deserts, keep. We got Science Junior, keep. Grasslands, highlands, shores, mountains, we did it. Okay, so I don't know what I'm forgetting. But let's look at a concept real quick. We're at 77,000 feet. And we're at 77,000 feet. So what I'm going to do is put one of these down to 70. Oops. A little too far, so that would be okay, and I wouldn't mind so much. But the problem is, if you drop below 70, your time acceleration reverts to a 1-to-1, and now all of a sudden you're stuck in real time, and that's really bad. So what I'm going to do is warp all the way over to this point right here. Okay. And I'm going to actually stop on 70. Let's go ahead. The fastest you can go here is ×4. It won't let you go any faster. And this tells you this here now. There are mods that will let you exceed the speed limit, but things get out of control real fast if you don't know what you're doing. Or I mean, if you're not prepared, or you don't understand that you're not going to go from 649 meters per second to 4,000 meters per second, and the acceleration is just almost a shock. I mean, it just comes up on you so fast. In the early days, I used to fly by my target all the time, and believe me, you can't just, when you miss your target in orbital mechanics, you may or may not be in a position to come turn back around and do it again or correct it. The best thing is to do it perfect the first time. Or we always have to adjust for drift and navigation. Sometimes we can go just short of it and then kind of goose into it. That way it's the lesser of two evil corrections. If you don't do it perfect, and if you can't do it perfect for some reason, it's probably, you got to decide, are you going to err on the side of caution before, or are you going to shoot right at it and try to shut it down? And if you miss, how much is that going to mess you up, and can you reverse that process? And if the answer is no, then you probably want to just go with plan A. Anyway, everything's situational in orbital mechanics. That's just the way it is. The closer you are to a planet, the more effective your gravity burns are. The more the better gas mileage you get to the moon. So if you're at 70, you're going to get, and you got to go to the moon, you're going to get better gas mileage than if you're at 90 or 100. And I'm not going to explain that right here. I don't have time. But you just have to know certain rules. It's like physics. Orbital mechanics is like physics. You have to know certain laws, rules, and patterns that things take. Engineering's the same way. Engineers have to know, primarily, when is stuff going to break? When's it going to melt? Did we make it strong enough? And that they have a whole bunch of stuff, rules and laws that they follow, just like the physics has laws. I don't think physics has. Okay, I have someone at my door, so I have to put everything on pause. I am really not sure where I left off. A lot of time has transpired, not in this video, but from my interruption. I just had some friends come by, and it's probably been at least an hour. So, yes, I remember now. So what we need to do is we're basically at 70-70. We're lining up on this crater impact zone. Looks like Tonga on the real Earth. And as we line up over that, what I want to do is put my periapsis on approximately 20,000. That's 20,000 meters above sea level. Alright, what I like to do is have this number and this number add up to above 90, not below 90. So 20 was the lowest number. What I might try is, let's just go ahead and go for supra accurate. Alright, so our periapsis is on 20,000. We were at 70,000, so we should be leaving space almost instantly. Looks like I can do a upper atmospheric orbital materials study in the future when I have some equipment that's fresh. If I was a scientist, I could actually reset and restore that and then bring information inside and then reset and restore and take multiple readings. If I was going like on a flight to the moon or Minmus, I would probably want to have a scientist with me just for that reason. Especially in the event in Minmus, what I like to do is the moon, I only have enough fuel to land and get home. The gravity well is so heavy there, and it's much larger. And Minmus is smaller with less gravity, but it's further away, so it takes longer. But once you get there, you can maybe land on a different biome. Let's see, the gravitational speed around Kerbin is 2290. Around the moon is about 550. That's approximate. And around Minmus, it's approximately 170. So you can see we go from 22 to 500 to 1.5 or 1.7. So this is actually a very heavy gravity well. We do have larger planets that have stronger gravity. Eve would be the first example. Duna, which is the Kerbin equivalent to Mars, probably. Okay, so I would accelerate time, but it really doesn't let me at this stage. I should. How do I do a time check? Was it F9? I'm going to try to push a button. I hope I don't mess everything up. I'm trying to check my time. All right, now. That may make me appear and disappear.